Okay, so another error people tend to make and sometimes overlook, is technical writing errors. Okay, sometimes when you talk about, oh, you have to proofread your essay, people think it's only about the grammar or spelling errors, but there are things like clarity. Okay, is your essay clear? When somebody reads like a sentence or two, do they really get exactly what you are saying, or are you being ambiguous? Okay, are you saying something that could mean one thing or another? So that is where the clarity comes in. You have to be clear in your writing. Coherence, like from one paragraph to the next, does it make sense that that paragraph follows the previous one? Or have you started talking about, okay, my past experiences, then you go into the future and then you come back to the present and then you go back to the past? Like, it has to follow, like, it has to be fluid. Okay, it has to be coherent and it has to make sense from one paragraph to the next. And you can also use those statements that show that you are moving from one to the next, like in addition, furthermore, moreover, finally, firstly. It helps you to know that it helps people to know that, okay, this is where I'm starting from. This is still a continuation of the first point. This is now that's the second point. This is now like how I'm ending. Okay, so like it's very important to have all those things in there. Coherence. If your essay is not coherent, you can have really great ideas. You can have like a really solid story, but you just didn't arrange it well and it doesn't make sense. Concise. Is it concise? People tend to write a lot of words. Like there was a personal statement I was reading last time, and the person was like had the longest sentence I have ever read, which was like three different lines, which is one sentence, you know, and it wasn't even really punctuated well. So it's very important to make sure that you are concise. If you can write it in a shorter form, do that. If you can reduce the number of words and this repetition of sentence, you can see a sentence first, then the next sentence actually just means the same the first sentence. You've just written it in other words, or some people say in other words, or all that is just too much verbose. When your essay is verbose, it tends to be difficult to read, and when it's not punctuated well. Okay, sentence structure and grammar. Okay, so you have to get your tenses right. You have to make sure that your sentences are varying. It's not everything. I went here and then I went and then I. There are different ways you can structure your sentences to make them not sound monotonous throughout the whole essay. So these are things we are going to definitely dive into. So kindly, but before we dive into them, just go and check if you have any of these errors in your essay. And one of the ways I'm able to catch these errors is whenever I'm done reading my essay, I read it out loud. I read it out to my own hearing and ask myself, that seems like a very long sentence. Or that sentence seems like it's not complete. So it's very important to read the essay out loud to yourself. You will be able to catch some of these errors. Okay.